Hello, dear listeners. There may be some loud jungle night noises that you hear, so I'll try to edit those out with the audio software. Don't know how successful I will be. Anyways, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about some more diet and nutrition issues. First, I just want to talk about what's going on at the ranch here. So obviously, as some of you may know, I'm here in southeast Ecuador, on the edge, basically the sort of border region of the Amazon rainforest. So we are in the Amazon rainforest, but not like the super deep Amazon basin. We're on the foothills of the Andes Mountains as they go down into the Amazon basin, right? So this is comfortable climate, a lot of rain sometimes, but that's okay because there's also a lot of sun. Unlike the coast, where everyone assumes it's sunny all the time on the coast, but there's plenty of tropical coastal areas, including some parts of the Ecuador coast, where it's cloudy for months, and that kind of sucks. So we don't get that here. That's great. We get plenty of sun. Even during the rainy season, the sun comes out a lot. Anyway, so here at Fruit Haven, well, there's actually kind of three communities in the area now, Fruit Haven, Terra Frutis, and Evolution Eco Village. And so here at Fruit Haven, we've got, as usual, more people staying here now. We're building a few different houses. Some of them, the owners are here right now. Others, the owners are going to come down here once the houses are done. So that's pretty great. Here at my own homestead, I have some new fruits finally producing, like carambola, the grafted cari and bell carambola, really big and juicy, and then plenty of jaboticaba coming off this one little jaboticaba tree that's just been fruiting nonstop since September. So that's pretty cool. Of course, some of you may have seen in the photos I posted one of the videos recently, the German Shepherd dog I have. Haven't had a dog in many years, but I figured it was about time. Nice companion, guard the homestead, you know. And he's been really great. He's really intelligent, and so now I've been making some progress. Unfortunately, I don't have time to put a lot of time into training him, but I'm literally just putting like a few minutes every other day into some practice, some commands and things, and he's learning very quickly. So now we're working on stay. He's already done sit and lie down and come, but I'm doing the for those of you who have dogs, it's helpful to do the hand signals at the same time as the voice command. So then in the future, you can get him to follow either the voice signals or the hand signals. So today I started trying just the hand signals and just the voice signals, and it worked. He was a little bit confused, but he figured it out. And so that was really awesome. And so I finally got him to not go after the neighbor's cows, like run up to them and start barking like crazy. He no longer does that. He runs right past them when he's running alongside the quad when I'm driving down the hill. So that's really awesome. But he still goes after the cats in the community house. We're trying to work on that. And he's doing much better with the rabbits. He still sometimes tries to go at them, but usually he's very calm around them. Not like he used to be when I first got him. It was insane. So it's really great progress. I almost kind of want another one now, but anyways, so that's kind of like, that's a change even at Fruit Haven, because many years ago I was, being a super staunch ethical vegan, like I said many years ago when I was young, and a little bit more foolish. I had this kind of hardline stance against pets. Some vegans are really against any pet ownership whatsoever, even rescue animals. It's all immoral, right? We should just let the animals kind of go by the way, whatever, deal with their problems themselves. There should be no domesticated animal species at all because it's immoral. That was kind of my view back then. Very unrealistic, because humans probably only managed to rebound after the most recent ice age, the Younger Dryas, 10,000 years ago, by starting to domesticate animals. So as immoral as it may be to some people, it's kind of like, yeah, we use dogs and various other animals to achieve a purpose. We forcibly bred them, and maybe you see that as immoral, but now they exist, and mass extinction events have happened many times throughout Earth's history. They will continue to happen, right? It's about survival. It would be way better if we had all these horribly domestically bred animal species to help us out next time something like that happens on the planet Earth, rather than just letting, the super ultra super ethical vegan stance, which is letting all domesticated animal species rewild and basically disappear. And then we'd have to do it all over again if, something happened. There have been times there was one time like 72,000 years ago when the human race was reduced to like something like less than 30 breeding age human females on the entire planet. We almost went extinct. So, maybe it sounds like I'm trying to, for those of you who are super ultra ethical vegan, it may sound like I'm trying to justify pet ownership via catastrophe and survival, and well, I kind of am, right? But it's also kind of a thing that we have now, a thing that kind of exists. So why not, why not use it? Why not use what we have? Anyways, enough about that. So yeah, I was saying that because having any animals used to not be allowed at Fruit Haven at all, right? And then we kind of drafted this genius policy, which I wrote, of course, that basically says, okay, you can have animals, however, there cannot be any materially demonstrable nuisance to others. And if there is, you must pay for it or get rid of the animals. And it's really strict policy, right? So basically, if someone just gets chickens on their lot, and the chickens, and there's no fence or anything, the chickens just keep going into the neighbor's property and killing all his young fruit trees, they're going to pay up the ass to replace all that work the neighbor did, or we'll just tell them you can't have chickens, sorry, because you're an irresponsible pet owner. If your pet is causing a nuisance to others, you can't keep it on your property, whatever. No excuses. So that's kind of the policy we adopted. And so far, it's been good. So, for example, pretty much nobody can get a donkey unless their lot is so big. If someone has like a 5-hectare lot or something, and they have the donkey in a space where no one else can hear it, because donkeys are very, very loud animals. And every morning they bray, incredibly loud. Same thing with roosters. So there's some animals that people could have very easily without being a nuisance to others, and that could benefit their permaculture systems. Others that would cause a problem. So that's kind of how we address the animal problem. In the past, there was actually maybe a couple people that we rejected, or maybe that decided not to come here because they had animals, but both cases, in one of the cases I remember, the people, there were a lot of red flags about them. They're probably watching this video right now. No, they probably are, but I don't really care. It's just, that's how it is. Sometimes there's red flags about people, and maybe it's a good thing that ended up being the reason. There was a few people that wanted to come that had animals and decided not to in the past, back when Fruit Haven was really, really young. That's just, when a community starts, you're going to probably change your rules several times, right? Anyway, so we hope that we kind of evolved and made more comprehensive rules about that. So yeah, and then I eventually became more practical. And as many of you know, you feel really dogmatic about certain things in the past, and then eventually you start to realize, well, I was very misguided, or I didn't really consider this, or that's a totally incohesive ideology that doesn't make any sense, right? So we all go through those things a number of times in our lives. If you don't, that's okay, you're probably an NPC. But most of us, normal people who can actually think and have a higher IQ, we go through that number of times in our lives, right? And it's kind of humbling every time it happens. And each time it happens, you start to realize, well, I need to be really more careful about what I start to believe wholeheartedly and how hard I push it. Because so far, it's like every time I've been proven wrong, right? Or not necessarily proven wrong, more so like guided in a better direction. Like maybe some of the things you take from one ideology are good and valuable, and other things are bad. But instead of seeing that at the beginning, the younger you, took it all at face value, right? So like when you read the Arnold Mucusless Diet Healing System book, some people get really turn into kind of like proselytes about that. Other people kind of take bits and pieces of it. Okay, this is useful, but this is just stupid. This is useful, but this is just stupid. Also, often what I see is Arnold Ehret said some pretty realistic, practical things in his book. Most of the people that I know that are like really strong into Mucusless Diet Healing System totally ignore the practical things he says in his book, almost like they didn't even read those parts. Usually they're people who are already into raw veganism and breatharianism and fruitarianism and various incohesive dietary ideologies, and then they read Mucusless Diet, and it took them off into this whole new ego path, kind of like an ego trip, and it's like they didn't really have a filter, or rather they had a filter, but it was filtering out the things that were practical, because they really wanted it to turn into this totally untenable philosophy where everything just revolved around the heart is a valve, not a pump, V equals P minus O, starch is bad, cooked vegetables and fruits are good, and that's it. Or some kind of watered down reductionism where it's like, actually, Eric, in some ways, you could even interpret him as supporting mineral supplementation if you interpret his works through a modern lens, because in one of his books he says, you need minerals. It's very important that you need minerals to build good blood in order to be able to detox. And he's not saying, obviously, those kind of things didn't exist back when he was writing this, but he is basically saying you need to eat a good diet and pay attention to your mineral intake in order that your body, your constitution is strong enough to even be able to handle the poisons that will be coming out of you. And keep in mind, this was the late 1800s, early 1900s when people barely had any toxins in them. Yeah, they had lots of vitamin A from the crap they ate, the liver and eggs they ate back then, but they weren't even using bromine in wheat flour. They weren't using glyphosate or really any other pesticides until the 1930s, 1940s, right? So anyways, interpreting that through a modern lens is very obvious. People develop severe mineral imbalances, and you need to, many people will need to take mineral supplements even if they found the perfect diet just to be able to balance things. How you do that is a whole other question, but that's basically my long way of saying that the mucusless diet healing system is an example of something that people will read and kind of adopt it as this religion and not really critically analyze it, which sometimes they do later. But the people that I've seen, obviously being here, I've seen so many people. So I hate to be like, well, I've seen this and I've seen that. I have, right? When you go to a fruit festival, you meet a lot of raw vegans and fruitarians, supposedly, right? Many who say they're long-term and this and that, but you're there for a week and that's it. Whereas I've spent years of my life, the past 7.5 years, living with these people for months or years at a time. So I see long-term results. I see what people are actually doing versus what they say they're doing on the internet. I see how people actually feel, the health problems they actually have versus what they're saying on the internet. So I don't want to sound like I'm this ultimate authority on the matter. I know to some of you I probably sound very cynical and dismissive of a lot of things now, but that's because I've seen a lot of things, right? So most of the guys that I've seen, hate to generalize, that are really religious about mucusless diet healing system for many years, they're not the kind of guys whose health I want to emulate. I think in their head, ideologically and theoretically, their health is getting amazing and they're going through this 10-year detox process and everything. But in person, they're just kind of like these skinny, low-energy guys, low muscle mass. They sometimes have skin problems or hair problems. They don't do much. Like, it's kind of like, it's funny because people come here and they sit around all day and they have online jobs, and that's great, and I understand, and I work on the computer a lot too. But, and I'm not saying everybody has to do physical work all the time, but it's just funny to see the contrast between a bunch of like skinny North American guys who are eating fruitarian diets and not doing occasionally they do some physical activity, sure, but, and some, again, not everybody, right? But in general, these guys show up, they're doing this, they look this way, they have this pattern of behavior. Meanwhile, these Ecuadorian guys who work here, and we hire them to build houses and do agricultural work and stuff, and they're like built, they have big muscles, and they basically, most of their diet is rice and yuca and chicken and beans and lentils and again, chicken, and rice and chicken and Coca-Cola, right? But it's like, there's something about vitality, and how do you measure vitality, right? Is some kind of like weak fruitarian failure guy like sitting around all day, is that vitality? Or can he excuse that by saying, well, I had a really toxic past and now I need to detox, and it's going to be like 6 years for me to detox because Christina Foley-Ross said it takes 7 years to regenerate every molecule in your body, but now it's actually been like 8 years and I'm still like this, but that's okay because I think great and I think that I feel great and this is great. And if that's how you measure vitality, okay, but I don't know. I think people just lose I think people lose sight of how vitality should really be measured, and they don't want to accept they may be having problems, not getting health results they maybe should be having because they're interpreting these gurus. And it sounded like I was just crapping all over the mucusless diet healing system for a long time. I kind of was, but in reality, I respect those books and are there a lot. There are a lot of really useful concepts in there. There are also some concepts in there that are a bit wacky, which I used to believe wholeheartedly, and now after years and thinking and trying and experimenting, and now I'm just kind of like, Arnold was cool, but take everything with a grain of salt. I'll take what's useful to me, and I'll happily throw out what's not. Right? I have no problem embracing part of something that somebody teaches and then realizing the rest didn't work for me, didn't work for various other people. Worked for me for a year or two, and then starts to realize, well, what's really going on here? It's just not propelling me towards vitality. Maybe it did in the 1800s when people were much less sick, right? Now I can almost almost total confidence say, based on what I've seen, some guy who's 25 years old, religiously following the mucusless diet healing system, is not being propelled to vitality. Sure, he experiences some improvements in health, but it's just a long, slow road. And really, how long do you want to wait? Does the process have to be 10 years? And have I seen people actually end that process successfully? Not really. How many people have I seen done 40-day juice fasts? People who are really strict raw. I know this one girl who was like, did not eat a bite of cooked food for an entire year. Another girl, 2 years. And both the same thing happened. Like 30, 40-day juice fast. Right afterwards, milk, eggs, not just cooked lentils, potato, you know what I mean? The things that they would have sworn were horrible afterwards, which I agree are horrible, the high quantity of vitamin A in the egg yolk, and also the high quantity of fat, cholesterol, and vitamin A in the milk, retinol, things like that, which now I'm saying, okay, those are crappy animal products to eat. If you're going to go from eating a vegan diet to eating a diet with animal products, you should at least do it intelligently and not just do the first things you read when you skim the internet and these shill articles written by people that get paid by the Weston A. Price Foundation to push a diet that makes people just as sick as the vegan diet, right? Because like I said, I've seen everything now, right? People, every time I make a video like this, I lose subscribers on YouTube because there's these kind of like seethe and cope vegans that hear this video and they think, oh, he's crapping all over veganism. Veganism isn't a diet, it's a way of life, and he was never, no, like, I would happily crap all over the paleo diet too because it sucks and people get very unhealthy after some years on it, depending on what their approach is on it. Now, I know some people will do very good on it, but some people will do very poorly. So I would happily crap all over the paleo diet and the South Beach diet and all these other diets. But the thing is, I know that most of my viewer base on YouTube are coming from or have experience with a raw vegan or fruitarian lifestyle diet, and they have done that in the past, even if they're not necessarily doing it nowadays. So whether people that are doing that and possibly experiencing health problems, or people who are doing that and doing great, or people who have left that and are now doing something else, I want to guide them because you can trust me, you can screw yourself up just as easily doing something else than you did on the raw vegan diet. People will have problems on the standard American diet, standard Western diet. Go to whatever it is, paleo, raw vegan, fruitarian, whatever. Cure a bunch of problems right away because of what they took out and what they started putting in. But if there still exist imbalances in the new diet because of certain subversive things that are being taught in amongst all the head honchos and all these movements, the guys who are getting the views, the gurus, so to speak, eventually the imbalances start to show up, and 5-10 years down the line, or even sooner, they start to have crazy health problems again. And then they go to something else. Maybe they go from raw vegan to paleo. Maybe they go from paleo to raw vegan. Maybe they go from carnivore to paleo, or paleo to carnivore, or raw vegan to primal, or fruitarian to cooked vegan, to junk food cooked vegan, back to regular cooked vegan, back to macrobiotic. Does that even exist anymore? Back to WFPB, over to Dr. John McDougall. By the way, has thyroid disease. So he has thyroid disease, right? Doug Graham had his appendix ruptured a few years ago and had to get rushed to the hospital. Everyone has excuses for why they're supposedly eating the best, most healthy diet, and they get this ridiculous health problem that should never have happened on that diet. So it could be either that they're not eating that diet, or it could be that the diet that they're preaching is not that great and causes problems due to some imbalances that you could never have guessed. I guess like at the beginning of this video, I planned to talk about some of those imbalances, like things like copper and everything. But I don't want to make the video go too long. I can talk in another video about some of those things. But for example, there's a stereotype that on a vegan diet, if you read in the meat eater forums on the internet, they're all like, oh, vegans are all going to be zinc deficient and toxic in copper, right? Well, guess what? Tons of people that are eating meat diets, whether it's paleo, primal, or standard American, a lot of times end up extremely toxic in copper. And guess what? That makes you deficient in zinc because it antagonizes zinc. So it's kind of like these things that we're taught. You're only paying attention to your guru, and your guru is saying, well, the vegans are going to get copper toxicity and deficient in zinc. And that's true. That does tend to be a problem among a lot of vegans. However, especially raw vegans who are eating tons of cacao, which is very high in copper and heavy metals, naturally high in heavy metals. The cacao tree pulls heavy metals out of the soil, puts it in the cacao bean. You eat it. Studies showed it was very high in multiple heavy metals, cultivated various places around the world. Very comprehensive studies. Anyways, aside from the point, I totally lost my train of thought, but so they're telling you that, for example, vegans are toxic in this and deficient in that. But then whatever diet you come from may have the same problem, maybe even worse. Trust me, there are people who have gotten copper toxicity way worse on a carnivore diet, for example, than on a raw vegan diet, and vice versa. There are raw vegans that have gotten ridiculous. And that's just one mineral. There are a few that are important, right? There are some that are the most important. There are some that tell you to take that actually destroy you, okay? Some of you have seen me pushing, I hate to use that, pushing. I sort of pushing these guys on some of my social media. Grant Generu, Dr. Garrett Smith, who's a medical doctor, and so they're talking about certain minerals, boron supplements, right? Boron causes rats to go sterile. In studies, boron it's not good to take boron supplements. It's not ever good to take copper supplements. There are certain supplements you should not be taking, but guess what? Certain gurus are telling you to take it. Why? Well, either there's some monetary interest causing them to be purposely subversive, or it's their own monetary interest, they're selling the product, or they're addicted to those things themselves. Because if you're taking a supplement that's toxic, and if you stop taking it, it starts to come out of your body, you feel like crap, you're really addicted to all these toxic things that you're taking in. A lot of like the superfoods and supplements that aren't really that good for you. But you become addicted to them basically, because if you start taking them, you feel like crap. Oh, I really need these then, all right? So you can question the motives of these people. Why would my favorite guru be lying to you? Well, he could be lying, sure. At the upper echelons of these raw food movements and the Weston A. Price Foundation and all these people at the very top, I think some of them know they're lying, but hold on to keep going with the charade because they're making money from it and they have a big ego. They don't want to admit that they were wrong. And below that, there's a lot of people who are just kind of addicted and brainwashed. The kind of mid-level health coaches and nutritionists and gurus on YouTube and stuff. There was this guy who had I don't remember his name. He had a Italian guy. He had a big YouTube following, and I mean big, and social media following. He was basically like an Instagram influencer. Anyways, so he was really big, like raw vegan fruitarian guy. He started having serious health problems after some years. He did everything. He tried the supplements and this and that, tried changing things. It didn't work. He finally realized, okay, I have a serious problem. He just went kind of to eating everything. He was like, yeah, screw it. I see pictures of him eating like bacon, sausage, bread, orange juice from a carton, coffee, bagel, like everything. And you know what? His health got better at first. His health continuously got better for about a year because probably he was repairing certain deficiencies and imbalances he had. As far as I know, I don't have too many specifics, but for example, he very easily could have had a DHA deficiency and a zinc deficiency, a B12 deficiency, and things like that. And sometimes your body has issues with certain amino acids, despite them being non-essential. Sometimes you can still have issues. And, the things they don't tell you about in vegan school. Anyways, all I know is that just his actual results, his health was going downhill on one diet. Doesn't matter what diet it was, raw vegan, fruitarian, South Beach, Mediterranean, whatever, grape juice diet, whatever. He was on one, diet A, he started going downhill. He went to diet B, but diet B wasn't really a diet, it was just kind of like eat whatever again. And he got better, right? Why is that? Well, it's simple, because these deficiencies that he was having were so serious that whatever he ate that was from an animal product or something else would correct them. But then he's going to still end up having health problems. So you see, those vegans who are clicking unsubscribe from my video right now, you see I'm not really necessarily saying something bad about the vegan diet in particular, right? Because I just talk crap about the eat whatever kind of meat and animal product diet this guy had started eating. That's also not going to serve him in the long term. I know for the first few years he'll probably be fine. And the next few years he might start to have skin problems and various other issues. And he'll kind of tell himself he's fine. Oh, I just need to do this and that. And then a few years after that was when he finally got to admit to his followers that he made a mistake yet again. First he went too hard in one direction, then he went too hard in the nothing direction, just eating whatever, which is just when you give up. The lower IQ people don't want to learn about nutrition. That's understandable because they can't comprehend it, so you just give up. I don't want to do any of these fad diets anymore. I'm just going to eat whatever everyone else is eating except a little bit more healthy, a little bit more organic. Eat the rainbow, which is terrible advice, by the way. I'm just going to do like kind of like the generic give up thing. And it's almost like those people need a guru because the gurus are appealing to these people who are very ideological, and once you stop being ideological and realize you got screwed, if you're not a super intelligent person, you can't do all this searching and critical thinking. Everyone's trying to trick you and fool you. Everyone's trying to tell you stuff. So many people just give up and just start eating whatever. And that will make their health improve from whatever diet they were on before for a certain period of time, but then it's going to go downhill again. So then they either need to get really, really smart all of a sudden and study the hell out of everything, or they need some kind of guru that's going to tell them where to go. That's kind of at the point we're at now with a lot of these health movements that have gone so far and pushing so much toxic stuff to people in the name of health, right? Again, I'm not just talking about vegan, raw vegan, fruitarian. I'm also talking about carnivore, paleo, primal, all these other diets that people are following. Every single one of them has certain toxic things they're really pushing hard, and you don't even realize it when you're watching the gurus, right? Anyways, that's all I got to say for now. By this point, I may have lost a few subscribers. Every time I make one of these videos, I lose a few. That's okay. I always get more after that. Unless YouTube bans me for the video I made the other night, talking about the things, like talking about the coof and a few other things. I don't even know what they changed their community standards. It's basically like, agree with CNN or we delete your channel, right? So you got to follow me on Telegram. You're going to go to Telegram, t.me/@realpetersiri, I think is the tag to get to it, or you can just search Peter Siri Official. You can also just search my name, but that's like my personal account on Telegram. You can send me messages, be like, hey, like, who the hell are you? Anyways, have a good night, everybody. Make sure you go to amazonfruitfestival.com from January 17th to 23rd, 2023, this coming January, in Southeast Ecuador. Don't worry, we will have the guaranteed monkeypox refund if your government makes monkeypox. I'm going to say monkeypox to avoid the censors. If your government makes a monkeypox quarantine and you can't get out of the country right before the festival, we will refund your ticket guaranteed. Like this year, we said we would do that by March 31st or something, or March 1st, and we did almost all the refunds, but we were like a month or two late, and a couple people got a little bit annoyed, so sorry about that, but I think we just have one more to do, and that's it, and then we'll be good. So anyways, we are good for our refund policy. Buy your ticket safely and securely. Don't worry about the monkeypox quarantines. Well, if you can't, I don't think that's going to amount to anything. So I think for them right now, it's Project Blue Beam or nothing. It's, they got to be in it to win it at this point, these global, elites. So anyways, the AmazonFruitFestival.com, buy a camping ticket or a cabin ticket. Cabin tickets go really quickly, so you got to buy those ASAP if you want one. Otherwise, camping ticket, buy throughout the year. But again, the earlier the better. Anything else I gotta say? Yeah, any comments or questions, leave them below the video. I don't always respond to all the comments or questions, but I'll try. Yeah. Peace out.